Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to Anti-Bullying 101. Today, we're going to be talking about how we can help kids move from careless to careful and why the current grading practices that are used today might need to be revisited if kids are going to achieve academic success. Well, welcome to Anti-Bullying 101. These podcasts are designed to create awareness about the bullying epidemic and provide teachers, administrators, parents, and even students information about the dangers of bullying and why we need to take a comprehensive approach when dealing with the problem. My name is Jim Burns. I'm a retired high school administrator with over 40 years of experience and the designer of the Bully Proof Classroom, a graduate course that provides my students with permanent help, not temporary relief, as we battle the bullying epidemic. We're going to be taking a look at some stuff today in this podcast that is of concern to me in terms of our grading practices and how we can really get kids to put forth their best effort. I think some of the problems that we face today is sometimes our expectations might just be a little bit too low. You know, kids bring home report cards for their parents to review about 4 times a year. And the parents can attend 2 to 3 parent-teacher conferences to receive reports on how their children are doing academically and behaviorally. You know, and at these conferences, teachers at times communicate to parents that their sons or daughters are doing fine, but they need to take their time with their work because they just seem to make careless mistakes. Well, in reality, children are not doing well academically, but for some reason teachers feel that poor student performance may be a reflection on their teaching ability, not the student's work ethic. There's only one way to measure a student's performance and determine whether or not they have mastered the material that was taught. And that's by assigning a grade associated with the work that the student completes. Grades like A, B, C, or sometimes schools use a percentage, 80%, 90%, are part of reality, and children and parents need to be given a clear idea of whether or not the material that was taught was actually mastered with an appropriate grade assigned. So, why are kids careless? The biggest reason is that teachers from the first grade on accept work that may be subpar and doesn't communicate the truth to the student or parent that the work submitted is just plain unacceptable. Carelessness just becomes part of life, and parents believe their child isn't academically deficient, but just makes careless mistakes or doesn't pay attention. Maybe they're a daydreamer, or they might just be plain old lazy. The truth is the child hasn't mastered the material that was taught. And oftentimes we try to come up with a kind way of saying or speaking what the truth really is, and we ultimately never really communicate the truth. The way for teachers to resolve the problem is to raise their level of expectations and put in place more stringent grading practices that give a true indication of the student's performance. By doing this, students will have a better understanding of their abilities and, when taken seriously, will motivate the student to pay attention and be more careful with the work that is turned in. Now, in the next segment, we're going to take a short break. In the next segment, we're going to cover a way that you can help kids become just a little bit more careful, and how we can raise these expectations a bit so that kids can be academically successful. Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome back to this segment of Anti-Bullying 101. We're working on helping kids become more careful, less careless, and we're also helping the teacher right now develop better grading practices so that when kids turn in their work, teachers can be truthful with the parents and say, hey, you know what, it's not the effort, it's really the fact that he's really turning in subpar work. So let's take a look at something that's called the revise, redo, and retake method. You start this off with work that is handed in, whether it's homework, classwork, tests, or quizzes. And what you do is you never just give it back to the student with mistakes noted. In other words, kids are going to make errors. You make sure that they're aware of the mistakes that they make. The work should be handed back with the mistakes that are indicated on the kid's paper. Let's just say the grade was 80% or less. The entire assignment has to be redone again. It may take a few redos, but once the student gets the idea that certain grades are unacceptable, they'll be less careless and more careful when they turn in assignments the first time. So in other words, you turn a paper in, let's just say it's less than 80%. The student has an opportunity now to be involved in what's called a redo and retake method, if he wants to raise that grade to 100%. It's not hard. You just have to get kids used to this. Once they get the idea that they may have to redo some of their work, they'll be a little bit more careful the next time. So when they turn in a paper, they're going to say, whoops, I better be sure I don't want to have to redo this. This not only motivates the student, but gives them opportunity to master material that would otherwise just be handed back to them with a poor grade. Students must revise writing assignments, redo careless work, and retake a test if their grade was 80% or less. And I think that's a fair way to do it. And you're helping kids master the material. Poor academic performance is a result of students not having the necessary prerequisite skills to perform at a higher level. The only way to resolve the problem is to go back to the academic areas that were not mastered by the student and make them repeat the areas of deficiency until mastered. To a school district, this can be costly and create a great deal of parental and community discord, because parents don't want to have kids going back and repeating grade levels. Well, we're not going to have them repeat the grade level. We're going to give them the work that they need to know in order to move forward. So if you're in the 5th grade, I may have to give you 3rd grade work to help you fill in the blanks. You can't do long division if you don't know how to multiply. So by today's standards, we may look at this and say it's almost impossible. What we want to do is we want to be tougher on students academically the first time around and really get them to master the material that's being taught. Stop using the excuse that students are careless and start using tougher grading practices. That will make students more careful and, most of all, more responsible for their academic progress. And that's really where we want to be. We want them to be responsible for their own work. My name is Jim Burns. You have been listening to Anti-Bullying 101. If you like this podcast and you would like to learn more about some of the products and courses that the Bully Proof Classroom offers, please visit the website. I'll have a a link in this podcast description, and you can go there. You can take a course. You can see some of the products that we have, and also take the time to read some of the articles. They're tremendous. You'll really enjoy them, and they'll really hit home with you in terms of what, as you look at it, you may look at it and say, whoa, this is really like off the chart, but it's real. All it is it's just out of the box thinking. And I think that's something that we have to do now by today's standards in school. So take your time, take a look at the website, maybe take a course, and let's all do what we can to stop this bullying epidemic. It has become a serious problem in schools, in our culture, and cyberbullying in society. Sometimes it's even happening in families. Let's all do our part to make sure that kids are going to school and kids are living in a safe school and home climate where they don't feel intimidated, they don't feel harassed, they don't feel bullied. My name is Jim Burns. You've been listening to Anti-Bullying 101. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. This is Sunday morning right now. Enjoy what you're doing, whatever it is, and I'll be back at you with another podcast probably on Monday.